Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. I have a quick question for you. What's the best unit in Age of Empires 2? Some that may come to your mind are Mangudai, the Paladin, War Elephant, maybe even the Longbowman. What these answers all have in common is they're completely wrong. The correct answer is the Humble Villager, because hidden in that unassuming unit is the potential to create an empire. Now, villagers are of course critical for your economy, but some are also pretty scrappy in a fight. And in this video, we'll be taking a look at the various civilizations with unusually strong villagers to watch out for, and hopefully give an overview of how they compare. We'll start things off with a heavy hitter, Spanish villagers with their tech supremacy. This is the original supercharged villager, though keep in mind they do require an Imperial Age tech. It's not terribly expensive and gives 6 more attack, 2 more of each type of armor, and doubles their HP to 80. The stats end up putting them about equal with a fully upgraded Castle Age long swordsman, and actually stronger than a post-Imperial Age halberdier in melee. They can even take a fully upgraded Hussar down to just under 1/2 health, so you can see how a group would easily be able to fight off at least a small number of even quite powerful units in a pinch. Now obviously, especially with sappers, you can play this a bit crazy and do some sort of 200 villager rush of your opponent's town, but even outside of meme strategies, it's a solid tech. It pairs well with their faster building speed to place forward castles, or even just as a defensive bonus, letting them resist Hussar raids. We're starting off strong here with Spanish, but they're far from the only civilization with extra husky villagers. Next up, we have the Incas. Unlike Spanish, their bonus comes a bit earlier during Castle Age. They're affected by infantry blacksmith upgrades, so while their HP isn't improved, their armor in particular becomes very strong, all while benefiting from techs that you'd likely be picking up for your military units anyway. Against the same units we tried these Spanish villagers against, you can see the results are less impressive. They're beaten by both a Castle Age long swordsman and even the halberdier. As a bit of a dark nod to history, head-to-head against Spanish villagers with supremacy, Spanish end with more than half their HP left. In practice though, you get a lot of the same usefulness out of the Inca's bonus. Incas have a discount on stone buildings, so you're incentivized to use more towers and castles, which for Inca are again easier to build aggressively. Plus, you get a nice passive resistance against raiding. The next civilization has a bit of that anti-raiding theme going on as well, but this time without a direct change to their stats. Let's take a look at the Poles. Their unique ability is their villagers recover HP over time at an increasing rate through each age. At its best in Imperial Age, the healing rate maxes out in fact at an identical speed to an unupgraded Berserk. Similar to Berserks, in most cases this won't impact the outcome of a fight, as even against low attack units, you'll get at most 5 HP healed during the battle. It's enough that they'll actually win a one-on-one fight with a generic villager though, even in Feudal Age, assuming the Polish player has Loom. It takes about 40 seconds for one villager to defeat another, which is plenty of time for the Polish healing bonus to kick in. You'll probably notice this most after luring boar when your villagers recover from any damage, and assuming late game raids have more than 2.5 minutes between them, your surviving villagers should all be back to full health by the time the next one comes in. Next up, we'll take a look at another new civilization with extra tanky villagers, this time the Bohemians. Their villagers are impacted by 2 different techs at the monastery that usually only affect monks. The first is that Fervor gives 15% faster movement speed to Bohemian villagers. That's enough to let them outpace or at least match most archers and infantry. Here, the yellow villager doesn't have the Fervor speed boost, while the cyan one does, and you can see it's a pretty big difference. Personally, I like this tech best for the economy boost, especially as farm and lumber camp placements get a little worse in the late game. The other technology, Sanctity, also gives their villagers plus 15 HP, or roughly a third more than usual. For a snapshot against other villagers we've seen so far, that puts them far behind the Spanish and Inca, roughly comparable with Poles. Bohemian villagers also fail the halberdier test pretty spectacularly, so while plus 15 HP sounds reasonably good on paper, it doesn't really seem to mean all that much in most matchups. They still have very low attack, armor, and simply take an extra couple of hits from most units. But getting now into the slightly more creative civilization picks, we have the Tatars. You may not think they're worth including here, but they're notable for dealing especially high damage to units when fighting from uphill. I wouldn't give them too much credit here, as even with a hill disadvantage against Tatars, an Inca villager loses less than a quarter of its HP. Of course, Tatars are going to win more convincingly than usual if they're fighting a generic villager from a hill advantage. Basically, you don't have to be too worried about meeting a Tatar villager in a dark alley, unless you're in San Francisco, Lisbon, or on Mustafar, in which case, watch out. Another couple of civs that may be stretching things a bit, but will include, are Magyar and Goth villagers. We are doing a toughest villagers list here, and being able to handle the most dangerous animals with relative ease earns at least a mention, even if for whatever reason their hunting skills don't translate to the most dangerous game. And finally, we'll end on another fringe case, the Burgundians with their Flemish militia. Now this one's debatable because technically Flemish militia aren't villagers per se, but with the tech Flemish Revolution you're converting villagers into them, plus they're created at a town center, so I'll allow it. Not only are they stronger than a Spanish villager with supremacy, they're almost as strong as a fully upgraded champion, with a little extra bonus damage against cavalry as well. If you include them, they're technically the toughest villagers. Otherwise, the official list goes Spanish, Inca, Polish, and Bohemians, which are pretty even, and then the more situational ones, which can fight it out at the bottom. So that was a quick look at all the toughest villagers in town and how they stack up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.